Imagine walking into a place that once pulsed with life. A hospital where doctors raced against time to save lives. Patients clung to the edge of hope, and families whispered prayers in quiet desperation. Today, those same hallways are silent. The air is heavy with the stench of decay, and every surface is cloaked in dust, as if the building is trying to hide its tragic past. The vibrant energy that once filled these halls has been replaced by an oppressive stillness. But what if I told you this hospital isn't as empty as it appears? At night, faint whispers echo through the corridors, and shadowy figures seem to dance in the periphery of your vision. Tonight, we're venturing inside one of the most haunted abandoned hospitals in the world, and the secrets we uncover may haunt us forever. The rusted metal doors groan as I push them open, revealing a cavernous entranceway. The air inside is icy, unnatural, as if the building itself is alive and aware of my presence. My flashlight's beam cuts through the darkness, revealing debris scattered across the floor. Broken glass, discarded medical equipment, and patient files left to rot. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the building settling. But there's something more to this silence. It feels purposeful, like it's waiting for me to make a move. With every step, a growing unease settles over me, as if invisible eyes are watching from the shadows. I move cautiously through the hallways, my footsteps echoing on the cracked tiles. The walls, once sterile and white, are now streaked with grime and peeling paint. Rusted gurneys sit abandoned in corners, and the remnants of lives once saved or lost are scattered around me. A child's drawing pinned to a wall catches my eye, its faded colors and innocent scrawl a jarring contrast to the desolation around me. The further I go, the more oppressive the atmosphere becomes. It's not just the building's decay, it's the feeling that the very walls are alive, whispering secrets I can't quite hear. Suddenly, I notice a faint flickering light down one of the corridors. At first, I think it's just a faulty bulb, but as I step closer, I hear something that sends chills racing down my spine. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, and too close for comfort. My breath catches as I freeze in place, straining to listen. The sound isn't an echo of my own steps. It's coming from deeper within the hospital. My rational mind tries to explain it away. Maybe it's an animal, or the building settling. But my instincts scream otherwise. As I stand frozen in the dimly lit corridor, a memory surfaces. A story my great-uncle once told me. He had been a patient here many years ago, long before the hospital was abandoned. He spoke of strange occurrences during his stay, whispers in the dark, shadowy figures that seemed to move in the corners of his vision, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. At the time, we dismissed his stories as the ramblings of a frightened man in a strange place. But now, walking these same halls, I can't help but wonder if there was truth to his words. Could something sinister have been lurking here all along? Before I can dwell on the thought, a deafening crash echoes through the building, shattering the silence. The sound seems to come from below, from the basement. My pulse quickens as I weigh my options. Every instinct tells me to leave, but an inexplicable pull urges me forward. I need to know what caused that noise. With my flashlight flickering, I make my way toward the stairwell. The air grows colder with each step, my breath visible in the unnatural chill. The staircase spirals downward into darkness, and every creak of the old metal steps sends a jolt of fear through me. When I reach the basement, the temperature has plummeted. The air is thick, almost suffocating, and my flashlight struggles to pierce the gloom. Scattered across the floor are old patient records, yellowed with age and covered in dust. Kneeling, I pick one up and wipe away the grime. My heart nearly stops when I see the name written on the file. It belongs to my great-uncle. Trembling, I sift through more records, each name sending a fresh wave of dread crashing over me. My grandfather's name is here. So are the names of other relatives, people I'd heard about in hushed family stories, but never thought connected to this place. But there's something even more chilling. Every file I open has one thing in common. The date of death is missing. It's as if these patients never left the hospital, their lives frozen in time. The implications are horrifying. Were these people lost to some dark force within the hospital? Or worse, are they still here, trapped in a way I can't understand? The walls seem to close in around me as my mind races with questions I don't want answered. A sudden noise snaps me out of my thoughts. A faint, rhythmic tapping, growing louder with each passing second. It's coming from somewhere deeper in the basement. Against every shred of logic, I follow the sound, unable to shake the feeling that something, or someone, is leading me to it. The air becomes heavier, each breath a struggle as I press on. My flashlight flickers and then goes out completely, plunging me into darkness. Panic surges through me, but before I can react, a soft whisper brushes past my ear, so close it feels like a breath on my skin. I spin around, but there's no one there. My shaking hands fumble to turn the flashlight back on, and when the beam finally flickers to life, it illuminates something that sends a jolt of terror through me. Scrawled across the walls in what looks like blood are the words, "You shouldn't be here." My legs feel like lead as I back away, but the whispers return, louder this time, filling the room with a cacophony of voices. They're all around me, speaking in a language I don't understand, their tones both pleading and angry. I turn and run, desperation driving me back toward the staircase. The building seems to shift around me, the corridors twisting and stretching as if trying to trap me. When I finally reach the stairs, the air grows colder still, and an overwhelming sense of dread washes over me. Climbing the steps feels like pushing against an invisible force, but I force myself onward. When I reach the main floor, I make a beeline for the exit. Relief washes over me as the heavy doors come into view, but that relief is short-lived. The doors won't budge. I push and pull with all my strength, but they remain firmly locked, as though the building itself refuses to let me go. My flashlight flickers again, casting long, distorted shadows on the walls. And then I see them. Figures emerging from the darkness, their shapes barely human. The whispers rise to a deafening roar as the shadows close in. My heart pounds in my chest as I realize the horrifying truth. The hospital isn't just haunted, it's alive. It's feeding off the fear and pain of those who enter, trapping them in its twisted grasp. And now, it wants me to stay. In a final act of desperation, I slam my shoulder against the doors, praying they'll give way. The shadows are nearly upon me, their forms stretching and twisting unnaturally. Just as the icy hands of one figure reach for me, the doors burst open and I stumble into the night. The cold air outside feels like a lifeline, but the whispers linger, faint but unmistakable, as if the hospital is warning me not to return. I don't stop running until the building is far behind me, its dark silhouette fading into the distance. Even now, safe in the light of day, the memory of that night haunts me. I can't shake the feeling that I left a part of myself behind in that hospital, a fragment of my soul claimed by its darkness. And though I escaped, one question continues to torment me. What would have happened if I hadn't made it out? Would I have become just another name in its forgotten records? Another soul lost to its insatiable hunger? Or worse, would I have joined the shadows, doomed to haunt its halls for eternity? The thought keeps me awake at night, but one thing is certain. Some places are better left undisturbed, and the hospital I walked into that night is one of them.